February 1940, North American Aviation Headquarters, California. A British Purchasing Commission representative has a simple request. Build us Curtiss P-40 Warhawks under license. James Dutch Kindelberger, NAA's president, looks at his chief designer, Edgar Schmued, then back at the British. We can design something better. The British are skeptical. North American aviation has never built a fighter aircraft. They make trainers, the AT-6 Texan. Good trainers. But fighters? That's different. Give us 102 days, Kindelberger says. The U.S. Army Air Corps hears about this proposal and laughs. A trainer company thinks it can build fighters? They're calling it a toy plane. The Army refuses to order any, not a single aircraft. But the British take the gamble. April 24, 1940. Contract signed. 320 aircraft, $40,000 each. Delivery, January 1941. September 9, 1940. 102 days after contract signing. A sleek, silver prototype rolls out of the factory. The NA-73X. October 26, 1940. First flight. Test pilot Vance Breeze lands with a grin. This is the fastest thing I've ever flown. But the U.S. Army still isn't interested. 1942. The British put a Rolls-Royce Merlin engine in the Mustang. Performance jumps instantly. 441 miles per hour, 1,600-mile range, can escort bombers to Berlin and back. The Army finally orders thousands. The P-51 Mustang goes on to destroy 4,950 enemy aircraft, wins air superiority over Germany, enables the strategic bombing campaign that cripples Nazi industry. Hermann Goering, head of the Luftwaffe, reportedly said, "When I saw Mustangs over Berlin, I knew the jig was up." The toy plane from the trainer company became the fighter that won the air war, and it was designed in 102 days. This is that story. Early 1940. Britain is desperate. France is collapsing under German assault. The Battle of Britain is coming. The Royal Air Force needs fighters. Desperately. Hurricanes and Spitfires are excellent aircraft, but there aren't enough of them. British factories are at maximum capacity. They can't build more fast enough. Britain turns to America, orders fighters from U.S. manufacturers, but American production is also maxed out. February 1940. The British Purchasing Commission approaches Curtiss Aircraft. Can you build more P-40 Warhawks for us? Curtiss. Production is at capacity. We can't build anymore. But we can license the design to other companies. Have them build P-40s under license. The British agree. They need aircraft. Any aircraft. They start approaching American manufacturers who have spare production capacity. One of them, North American Aviation. NAA is based in California. President, James Dutch Kindelberger. Chief designer, Edgar Schmued, a German immigrant. North American Aviation is known for one thing, the AT-6 Texan trainer, called the Harvard by the British. It's a successful aircraft, reliable, well-built, delivered on time and on budget. But it's a trainer, not a fighter. NAA has built exactly one fighter, the NA-50 for Peru. It failed. Underpowered, poor performance, never saw combat. So when the British approach NAA in February 1940 with "Build P-40s for us," it seems like a simple contract. License production. Follow Curtiss's blueprints. Deliver aircraft. Kindelberger calls Edgar Schmued into his office. The British want P-40s. How long to tool up for production? Schmued thinks. 6 months, maybe more. It's a complex aircraft, different from what we build. Kindelberger. That's what I thought. Schmued. But I can design a better fighter in less time. Kindelberger stares at him. You've never designed a fighter. Schmued. I've been studying fighters for 10 years. I know what works. I know what doesn't. Give me a chance. Kindelberger makes the gamble of his life. He goes back to the British with a proposal. Don't make us build P-40s. Let us design something better. The British are shocked. You've never built a fighter. Kindelberger. Tooling up for P-40 production takes 6 months anyway. Give me 120 days. I'll have a prototype of a better aircraft. The British consult their engineers. This is insane. North American Aviation is a trainer company. They have no fighter experience. But NAA's track record with the AT-6 is impeccable. Delivered on time, on budget, high quality. And Britain is desperate. They need fighters. If NAA can deliver a better aircraft than the P-40, that's worth the risk. April 10th, 1940. Letter of intent. April 24th, 1940. Contract signed. 320 aircraft. Maximum price, $40,000 each. Delivery of first aircraft, January 1941. Penalty clauses if late. British specifications. 4 machine guns, 1,000-mile range, at least as fast as the P-40. The contract is signed. The gamble is made. The U.S. Army Air Corps watches this transaction with skepticism. A trainer company building fighters? They're calling it a toy plane. The Army refuses to place any orders. Let the British waste their money. What nobody knows, Edgar Schmued has been waiting for this moment his entire career. Edgar Schmued was born in 1899 in Bavaria, Germany, fascinated by aviation from childhood. Trained as an engineer in Germany in the 1920s. The 1920s. German aviation industry is the most advanced in the world. Schmued works for Fokker, studies Messerschmitt designs, learns from the best. 1930, Schmued immigrates to the United States. Germany's economy is collapsing. America offers opportunity. He's hired by North American Aviation, works on trainers. The AT-6 Texan. Good work. Steady work. But not what he dreams about. Because Edgar Schmued dreams about fighters. For 10 years, he sketches fighter designs in his spare time, studies every fighter he can. British Spitfires, German Bf-109s, American P-40s and P-38s. He identifies weaknesses in each design. The Spitfire, beautiful, maneuverable, but short range and difficult to produce. The Bf-109, fast and deadly, but limited fuel capacity. The P-40, reliable but mediocre performance. The P-38, long range but complex and expensive. Schmued envisions the ideal fighter. Low drag through laminar flow wings. Liquid-cooled inline engine for streamlined profile. Huge internal fuel capacity for long range. Simple construction for mass production. Easy to maintain for field service. He sketches. He calculates. He waits for someone to give him a chance. March 1940. Kindelberger asks about P-40 production. Schmued sees his opportunity. We can design better. Kindelberger. Prove it. I'm meeting with the British in 3 weeks. Schmued works 20-hour days, pulls together everything he's learned in 10 years of studying fighters, uses data from NACA, the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, applies laminar flow wing theory, revolutionary, untested in production fighters, reduces drag by 30%. He designs a revolutionary cooling system. The radiator placement actually turns cooling drag into thrust, a Meredith effect. Brilliant. The result? 390 miles per hour on the same Allison engine the P-40 uses for 350. Internal fuel, 180 gallons. The P-40 has 120. Structure, simplified for mass production. Everything designed for speed, range, and ease of manufacturing. April 1940. Kindelberger brings Schmued's drawings to the British Purchasing Commission. British engineers are skeptical. These performance numbers can't be real. Schmued's response. That's why we're not repeating old mistakes. We're designing from first principles. The British calculate the risk. NAA's AT-6 record speaks for itself. On time, on budget, high quality. If they can bring that same discipline to fighter production, they sign the contract. May 4th, 1940. Design approved for export. The sprint begins. Schmued assembles a team of 100 engineers. They work around the clock. No prototype to copy. Every part designed from scratch. Wind tunnel testing at Caltech. Structural testing concurrent with design. No time for sequential development. Everything happens simultaneously. September 9th, 1940. 102 days after contract signing. The NA-73X prototype rolls out of the factory. 102 days. From contract to flying prototype. It's the fastest fighter development in aviation history, a record that still stands. October 26, 1940. Mines Field, California. Later renamed Los Angeles International Airport. Test pilot Vance Breeze straps into the NA-73X prototype, the first Mustang. Sleek, silver, beautiful. Engine start. The Allison V1710 roars to life, 1,400 horsepower. Breeze taxis to the runway, full power. The Mustang accelerates, lifts off. He climbs effortlessly. The controls are light, responsive. The aircraft feels alive. Level flight. He pushes the throttle forward. 380 miles per hour. Preliminary speed. Faster than promised. Breeze lands, climbs out of the cockpit, grinning. This is the fastest thing I've ever flown. Handles like a dream. The British observers are thrilled. The gamble paid off. NAA delivered. But there's a setback. November 20th, 1940. Test pilot Paul Balfour is flying the NA-73X. The engine quits in flight. Forced landing in a plowed field. The plane flips. Heavy damage. Balfour walks away. The prototype is repairable. 30 days of work. January 13th, 1941. The NA-73X is flying again. April 1941. The first production aircraft, Mustang Mk1, serial AG-345, is delivered to the RAF. Test pilot Louis Waite puts it through its paces. It exceeds all specifications. Speed, 390 miles per hour. Range, over 1,000 miles. The British are ecstatic. Meanwhile, the U.S. Army Air Corps is watching, reluctantly. When the contract was signed in May 1940, the Army had required 2 aircraft for evaluation, a standard practice. XP-51, serials 41038 and 41039. August through December 1941. The 2 XP-51s arrive at Wright Field for testing. Army test pilots are impressed. Fast, long range, beautiful handling. But there's a problem. High-altitude performance is weak. The Allison V1710 engine, excellent below 15,000 feet, but above that altitude, power drops dramatically. No turbo supercharger, just a single-stage mechanical supercharger. European air combat happens at 20,000 to 30,000 feet. The Mustang is limited to low-level work. The Army loses interest. Again. January 1942. The RAF forms the 1st Mustang Squadron. Number 26 Squadron, Army Cooperation Command. Role: tactical reconnaissance. Low-level photo runs over occupied France. The Mustang is perfect for this. Fast, long range, can get in and out before German fighters respond. But it's not competitive in high-altitude fighter versus fighter combat. The Mustang seems destined to be a good but not great aircraft. A reconnaissance plane, not the war winner it was designed to be. Then comes April 1942. Ronald Harker, a test pilot for Rolls-Royce. He flies a Mustang at the Royal Aircraft Establishment, Farnborough. After the flight, he writes a report. The airframe is outstanding. Put a Merlin engine in this aircraft, and it will be unbeatable. The Merlin, Rolls-Royce's masterpiece. The same engine that powers the Spitfire, but with a 2-stage supercharger. Excellent high-altitude performance. The British experiment. 5 Mustangs are converted. Merlin 61 engines installed. The test flights are revelatory. Mustang with Allison, 390 miles per hour. Service ceiling, 31,000 feet. Mustang with Merlin, 441 miles per hour. Service ceiling, 42,000 feet, plus 51 miles per hour. Ceiling increased by 11,000 feet. High altitude performance, transformed. Now competitive with the Bf-109 and FW-190. North American Aviation gets the British test data. Immediately begins development of the P-51B. Same airframe. Packard-built Merlin engine. Packard has a license to build Merlins in the United States. December 1942. First P-51B flight. The U.S. Army Air Forces finally pays attention. Orders are placed. 1,200 P-51Bs, then 2,000 P-51Cs, then 8,000 P-51Ds. The toy plane that was dismissed in 1940 is now the most important fighter in the American arsenal. The Army's about-face is complete. From trainer company joke to best fighter we have in 3 years. Final production, 15,586 P-51 Mustangs. More than the Spitfire. More Mustangs than any other American fighter except the P-47. And it all started because Edgar Schmued said, "I can design better." 1943. American bombers are dying over Germany. The 8th Air Force is conducting strategic bombing raids, attacking factories, oil refineries, transportation hubs, trying to cripple Nazi war production. But bomber losses are catastrophic. 9% per mission. At that rate, bomber crews have a 10-mission life expectancy. The problem? No fighter escort deep into Germany. P-47 Thunderbolts. Excellent fighters, but range too short. Can escort to the German border, not beyond. P-38 Lightnings. Have the range, but there aren't enough of them. And they struggle at high altitude in European weather. The bombers go in alone, and German fighters, Bf-109s and FW-190s, tear them apart. December 1943. The P-51B enters service with the 8th Air Force. Range with drop tanks, 1,600 miles. Can escort bombers to Berlin and back. Speed. Fast enough to fight German fighters. Maneuverability. Can win dogfights. Reliability. Packard Merlin engine is bulletproof. It's exactly what the bomber offensive needs. December 1st, 1943. First long-range escort mission with P-51s. Target, Solingen, Germany. The results are immediate. Bomber losses drop. German fighters are driven off. The P-51s dominate. Over the next 18 months, the P-51 becomes the primary escort fighter for the 8th Air Force. The statistics are devastating for Germany. P-51 Mustangs destroy 4,950 enemy aircraft in air-to-air combat. Another 4,131 destroyed on the ground. Total, 9,081 enemy aircraft destroyed. More than any other Allied fighter in the European theater. Bomber losses drop from 9% per mission to under 2%. March 6, 1944. The first escort mission to Berlin. 660 bombers, 800 fighters, including P-51s. The Luftwaffe is decimated. Germany loses air superiority. The strategic bombing campaign succeeds. Hermann Göring, Reichsmarshal of the Luftwaffe, reportedly said, "When I saw Mustangs over Berlin, I knew the jig was up." P-51s over Berlin. 800 miles from their bases in England. The impossible range that no other fighter could match. That's what wins the air war. June 6, 1944. D-Day. P-51 Mustangs provide air cover over Normandy. Thousands of sorties. Air supremacy over the landing beaches. The invasion succeeds in part because the Luftwaffe is already defeated. The P-51 continues escort missions through 1945. By the end of the war, P-51 pilots have produced 281 aces, pilots with 5 or more kills. Major George Preddy, 26.83 kills in the P-51, the top Mustang ace. Captain Chuck Yeager, 11.5 kills in the P-51. Later, first man to break the sound barrier. The Tuskegee Airmen, all-black fighter group, fly P-51s, gain fame for never losing a bomber to enemy fighters on escort missions. Red tails, their distinctive paint scheme. Post-war, the P-51 serves in the Korean War. Ground attack missions, still effective. 51 air forces around the world operate P-51s. The aircraft serves until 1984 in the Dominican Republic. 44 years of service. The longest-serving American fighter design in history. And it was designed in 102 days by a company that had never built a fighter before. Edgar Schmued's vindication is complete. The toy plane becomes the war winner. The trainer company builds the fighter that defeats the Luftwaffe. 1945, Schmued designs the F-86 Sabre, America's first swept-wing jet fighter. It dominates the Korean War, proves that the P-51 wasn't luck. Schmued is a genius. North American aviation transforms from a trainer company into a legend. P-51 Mustang, B-25 Mitchell bomber, F-86 Sabre jet, X-15 rocket plane, all from the company that couldn't build fighters. The numbers tell the story. 15,586 P-51 Mustangs built. $50,000 per aircraft in final production. Total program cost? $779 million. Return on investment. Won the air war over Germany. Enabled the strategic bombing campaign. Saved thousands of bomber crew lives. What made the P-51 special? Longest range of any fighter, 1,600 miles. Fast, 440 miles per hour. High altitude, 42,000-foot ceiling. Maneuverable, could dogfight anything. Reliable. The Packard Merlin engine was legendary. Simple, easy to maintain in the field. Beautiful, often called the most beautiful fighter ever built. But there's an irony. The U.S. Army dismissed it in 1940. The British ordered it. The British perfected it with the Merlin engine in 1942. The U.S. Army finally ordered it in 1943. The Americans claim it as an American fighter. But it was a British contract, a British engine, and a German designer. The P-51 Mustang is the ultimate product of international collaboration. German engineering, British vision, American production. Today, over 150 P-51 Mustangs are still flying, airshow favorites worldwide, worth $2 to $4 million each. The name Mustang is iconic. Ford named their Mustang car after the P-51. The fighter is that famous. It's a symbol of American ingenuity. But really, it's a symbol of what happens when experts are wrong and dismissed innovators prove right. Toy plane from a trainer company, designed in 102 days, became the best fighter of World War II. Edgar Schmued's philosophy: copy nothing, learn from everyone. Design for purpose, not tradition. Simple is better than complex. Make it work, make it fast, make it right. That philosophy built the P-51. April 1940, British gamble on an unproven company. October 1940, first flight exceeds all expectations. 1942, Merlin conversion perfects the design. 1943, U.S. Army finally orders thousands. 1944 to 1945, wins air superiority over Germany. Post-war, 51 air forces adopt it. Today, still flying, still loved, still iconic. What if the British hadn't taken the risk? What if North American aviation had just built P-40s under license? What if the Army's dismissal had killed the project? How many more bombers would have been lost? How many more bomber crewmen would have died? Could the war have lasted longer? We'll never know. Because the British took the gamble. Because Edgar Schmued had been preparing for 10 years. Because Dutch Kindelberger believed in his designer. And because sometimes, the toy plane from the trainer company, designed in 102 days, becomes the fighter that wins the war. If you enjoyed this story of innovation, rejection, and vindication, let me know what other aircraft development stories we should cover. The Spitfire's controversial designer? The jet engine's inventor who was ignored? The B-29's impossible engineering challenges? Hit that subscribe button for more stories of the innovations that changed history and the people who refused to give up on them.